Zenith Coburg, part 33 and a third, the final insult. Zenith Coburg, part 3. So, in the last episode, what I didn't show is that I got a copyright flag on the video I was using as a demonstration video. So I went back into the editor and sliced the ever-loving heck out of the demonstration scene of the television set, hoping that I could re-upload it and not get a copyright flag on re-upload. But my average video takes over 3 hours to upload, so my contingency plan while that was uploading was to refilm the demonstration video using a different video source to feed the television. And calamity happened while I tried to set the set back up off of its dolly and do a demonstration. Luckily, somehow my re-edit of the existing footage was fine, so I didn't have to show you guys the calamity that happened to the cabinet. Both of the legs on this side busted off, and this set fell against a rare early color set that is very valuable compared to this, and damage was had. So this thing got its legs snapped off. Both dowels on this leg got snapped. The other leg just simply slipped out of its dowels. This one snapped off fairly deep in its hole, so I re-glued it. This one kind of at about the junction point, so I think I need to drill this out and replace it with a new dowel. I think this is what I was able to recover of the veneer along the top back edge that got scraped off in the collapse. And I'll probably include some clips of me shortly after dropping it, flipping out and being extremely livid. So I'm a little bit livid. This set's almost been destroyed thanks to YouTube's asinine copyright check. Look at this. I busted the rear leg completely off the cabinet, and now it's just barely hanging in there. The front leg here almost came off. The top of the cabinet got busted up because it came in contact with this, a 1 of 7 still in existence Motorola 21 CT2 early color set. All of this because I had to refilm this segment because YouTube's damn copyright flag think that a minute of a movie where about 40 seconds of that are completely muted and the rest I'm talking over it so you can barely hear the damn movie, that they can think that that constitutes a copyright infringement. A color movie on a black and white set, more or less in the background, is asinine. Barely would make a good advertisement for the movie, let alone an infringement of copyright. This thing was nearly mint and now it's not. I don't have words. Since then I've calmed down and realized something close to that would have probably eventually happened with the failing glue joints. And since then, this set got even more of an insult. You see these speckles? That's basically, sewage. So, somewhere between this floor drain here and the access trap that lets you root out the line between the house and the outdoors, i.e. somewhere within this, roughly 15-foot section of concrete here, there's a, significant restriction in the, drainage, and the floor drain keeps backing up. So while we were trying to clean it up, the shop vac splattered, and it got all over this TV set. It got all over the Dumont Manchu chassis. I still need to clean it off this set and off of my tube caddies and a handful of other things in this general vicinity. So yeah, this set has had a lot of bad luck since you've last seen it. So I'm going to try to fix up the cabinet damage that occurred to this thing. Clean the shit off of it. So while I'm at it, I'm going to take its non-remote blonde compatriot and glue this missing side back onto it. The back's off also right now so that I have good access for doing furniture clamp things. Now here's a view you don't get to see of a vintage television set every day. It's like one of those manufacturer's demonstration cross-sections.
Every Zenith, from giant screen consoles to compact go-anywhere portables, is handcrafted, built to be dependable, so that you can enjoy a sharper, brighter TV picture. Hour after hour, week after week, year after year.
That cinematic shot experience. Right now we're going to work on the blonde Zenith cabinet. We have the unglued side panel that came off the cabinet. We have 4 very large furniture clamps and some wood to help brace things up and clamp things up. And we have all of the small furniture clamps that I own that I can find right now sitting there on the floor. First off, we're going to take some 400 grit and scuff up the surface on the cabinet. Okay, and I want to do the same real quick to the main surface. That'll probably be good enough. Just want to knock off the old loose glue debris from the mating surfaces so that better adhesion will be likely. And it occurs to me I forgot something I'm going to need for this. Power transformers. So, as you can see on the old back, and you can see on the cabinet, this chassis shelf crossbar here, it's glued as well. And I don't have any practical means of clamping anywhere near the center of this, so what I'm going to do is, once I have this glued up and set in place and the rest of the clamps started, I'm going to put a board right about here and set a bunch of power transformers on top of that board, and with enough weight, it'll behave like a clamp. Did I ever sand the middle portion of that? I'm dumb enough to have forgotten that. Let's just hedge our stupidity a little bit. Okay, so I've done all the prep work I care to do. I'm going to start gluing. Do is I'm laying down the bead and I'm using the paper towel to kind of smooth it into a thin but not excessively thin layer. Thick enough that it'll do the job I want it to do. I'll probably do something similar to the inside of the panel before I lay that on there. Alright, that lays the glue on pretty well. Now let's just try to smear some into the back. I have no idea how I'm going to capture this on camera, or why I should even try. This is going to be... yeah, I don't want to get lint from the paper towels into here, so I gotta keep exposing fresh material. This will just get the mating surfaces gluey enough to have a... Oh, that's convenient. That should allow me to keep painting it where I want to paint it in here. Wipe some glue. This ain't going to be a museum quality restoration, but it doesn't have to be. Just has to get this set back to presentable. Once the set stops looking like junk, then I've won. Okay, so this should go on like so. That's about as good as I'm going to get that. I'm going to put that board there as a brace for that side. That clamp feels firm. That's good. It's a little down tight for you. Works better. Oh yeah, you're longer that far. Okay, next. Yeah, that could have been better thought out. Well, whatever. We'll still make it work. Okay, next. Yeah, that could have been better thought out. Well, whatever. I'll still make it work. Now we need those. That's not gonna work from that angle. Okay, there you go. Next, I'm gonna put you here. Okay, all the clamps are on and the power transformer's on. I'm thinking I might want to put some more power transformers on in some strategic locations. Let's put a big heavy one right there, big heavy one right there. And... holy... right! Well, plastic cushion flies off and vanishes. That's just... Okay, let's get you some close-up action of this cluster. So, this is all of the stuff that I have sitting on here. And now we have to do some stuff because glue is oozing and I don't want oozing messy glue. In the finished product, so I gotta go through here. My fat fingers can get into the places I want them to get into, and just kind of clean this glue mess up. It ain't gonna be perfect, but it'll be okay. It looks like I did it light enough that there's virtually nothing oozing out the front and top edges here. I'm gonna quick run a less nasty paper towel down along here and just try to get into the places we don't want the glue. And then we want to get inside the cabinet a little bit too, particularly around the speakers, as I don't want glue dripping down on my speaker cones and messing up my good speaker. To merit a little bit of alright. Okay. I think I got all the drippings off of it. Now we let it sit, likely overnight. In the morning, hopefully we'll have a TV with a nice, firmly attached, decent-looking side. So in an upcoming video, I'm thinking about doing a resurrection on the Dumont Manchu, and I need a place for it in the basement. So that spot's been opened up, and the RCA CTC5 will go there, and I'm going to stack this Zenith console on top of my blond CTC5 that's hiding back here. Okay, it's been sitting overnight. I'm pretty sure the glue's dry. Let's get all the transformers and clamps and stuff off of it and see how it did. Okay. Good news is I didn't tear any of the photo finish off with that. Bad news is this is not as good of a clamping board anymore because it's got glue. Okay. Feels solid. Good. Yeah, that's on solid. Okay, so it's on there. Would like to get in this area pinched in a little bit better, but the cabinet's got a funny bit of warp to it there, and that's going to be about the best it's going to be. I need to clean this bit of glue flash here up with a X-Acto knife, and I also need to clean the drippage on this side and some other dirt on the cabinet up, but this is getting pretty good. I'll clean it up and get it upright, and I'll show you the result. Old swivel base makes that borderline treacherous. Got it done though. Even find more. That's not a hole. That's also not a hole. Okay. Fill it now. Good. Good enough. Okay, it's working fine. What you see is it being too close to the transmitter, the hum bars. So we're going to try to set it on top of this blond RCA CTC5. I'm going to try to do this on my own, with my hands greased with Gojo and the cabinet greased with Gojo. I'm sure this is going to go great. Today, aren't you kidding me? So this side panel is starting to come unglued. On the other side, great. That's just what I wanted to see. There we go. Right where I wanted it. This whole stack's probably going to move to a different part of the basement, but for now, this is a perfect temporary place to keep it. And Tom, why would you turn the Zenith upside down? Well, it's got a swivel base, and the RCA is sitting on top of a furniture dolly. The swivel base on the Zenith is tippy enough just with the Zenith resting on it. If you put that on top of another tippy surface, moving these around on the furniture dolly might make the Zenith topple off if it was standing upright, so upside down is the safer configuration. And that's what we're going to use. So when this leg snapped off the Zenith Coburg, as you can tell, the surface face here, part of it stayed on here. This pin actually sheared deep down in that half, close to its bottom and was loose on this. I was able to pull it out of here. I think the shear point is deep enough in that this peg still has enough structural strength to be usable. However, because the other peg sheared pretty much flush, what I'm going to do is drill out peg on both sides, and I have an assortment of new ones as well as this slightly larger dowel here. Depending upon what I drill it out to, either the largest one of these or this next size up dowel will end up working for me, I believe. Trick is going to be getting the drill centered so I don't hog out the holes into a non-circular pattern. Right now my tripod camera has a dead battery, and I'm having to film with my cell phone camera, and I need both hands to do... Maybe I don't. We'll see. I may need two hands to do this process, and if I do, I may end up pausing and coming back to show the result. Okay, so my Dremel got me a fairly centered pilot hole. Shortly I will use my miniature drill press and try to widen it out. Before I do that, though, I'm going to also try to get a centered pilot hole here. So I've got my drill press set up. Next to it is my Zenith 24NC31. I actually have two chassis for this set. I'm going to be working on a repair, revival, something like that. I'm going to be working on putting this set together in the near future and filming it. I think I also need two hands for the drill press, so come back when I've gotten further. I might not need the drill press after all. I figured out, you can see that wiggle. I figured out while lining up the drill press that that's kind of loose. I think if I drive a screw into the pilot hole that I've made, I could probably yank out the old dowel from this and clean up the inside of it a little bit, and maybe try the same thing with the main cabinet, depending on how things go. Okay, we've got the machine screw in. Now I just gotta yank on it and see if I can get the dowel out. So it's starting to come out, the peg. I'm gonna keep working on it. It's coming. What I'm doing is I'm tightening this wrench up so that the screw can just barely slip in, lifting up on the leg, and then taking this small hammer and pounding down on the wrench, and occasionally pausing to wiggle the screw. I may try something similar on the main cabinet, depending on how things go. Got it out. Came out in one piece, and the hole's fairly clean. Might need to clean it up with a drill bit a little. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That'll be part of the dowel selection process, is figuring out what sizes of dowel fit the hole, and if the hole needs to be cleaned up to fit a dowel. Big failure on the screw method on this. I was able to screw it in, but tapping it down and tapping it out ended up just ripping the screw threads out of the wood of the dowel. Part of me that wonders if I can just pick this dowel out of here with a screwdriver. Before I resort to that, I'm going to try a slightly bigger screw, and then if that fails, I'll either chisel it out with a small screwdriver or drill it out, or both. So, is this overkill? What's your opinion? I found the biggest flipping screw I could find, mostly because I didn't have much of anything in between. Let's see if this works. Unfortunately, Mr. B cannot see that the best solution is Plan D. Drill, baby, drill. That's how you get energy. Not perfectly centered, but with two hands I might be able to compensate. The primary difference between a drill and a router is how much downforce and how much horizontal force you have. Okay, now we've drilled it out to the bottom. And it's about a 2-inch dowel and about 7/16. So I'm going to see if my large 7/16 rod will work for this application. Wish me luck. Measure once, cut twice, kids. Dremeled off, and we created a nice smoke cloud. Reminiscent of the CTC16 video. Just not quite as big. I'm going to file a bit of a chamfer onto the ends. Something like what the original pegs had. Yeah, you can kind of see that. I'm going to do that. and make sure it all fits up, and then I'm going to start working on gluing it. I think I might also try to whittle a little spiral groove into this if I can. Okay, 2 bevels blacker than my soul, and a crude spiral, courtesy of a Dremel cutoff bit and a steady hand. Now, let's just check the fitment. Yeah, on that side, that's about as good of a fit as I can reasonably ask for. That side looks okay from as best as I can get my eyes on it. So, I think that will work as a mounting point and as replacements for the dowels. Now I just got to figure out how to get this all glued up. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to pluck my new dowel back out, smear a little bit of I think I'll actually coat the dowel itself, maybe a little bit in the hole with wood glue. Smear, before I put the dowel in, smear as much of this flat surface as I can with wood glue. Maybe I'll do it on this half because this half doesn't have any dowels in it. It'll be easier to work around. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Put a little bit in the top hole for this dowel and maybe a little skosh on it. Put it all together, clamp it, glue it, and hopefully this console will once again be able to stand on its own 4 legs. Okay, we got it on, and about half a gallon worth of glue came oozing out that we've mostly cleaned up. I'm going to get the clamp on it, and then I'm going to clean it up some more once I've clamped it down and forced more to ooze out. Okay, so the cabinet itself is not too wide for this clamp, but both legs together are, so I had to put it on crooked. This is less than ideal and prone to go shooting off into space during the middle of the night. Perfect. I'm going to clean up the additional oozed glue as best as I can, and probably call this good for the night. Okay, so the clamp's held overnight. Remove the clamp that was designed to keep this clamp from sliding off. And now that's solid. That's really solid. Okay, I'm happy with that. Still need to do a couple things though. There's still one bit of cabinet repair from the calamity that happened to this that needs to be done, and some cleaning. We'll do the repair first. Oh, great. So, yeah, I'm gonna need to revisit all of the leg glues. That's not good. At least I didn't snap the legs off this time. So, I need to fix this. Some people might say the proper way to fix that would be to re-veneer the entire top. We're not doing that. I don't have the veneer, the money, or the skills. So, what I am going to have to do is make stomach noises. What I'm going to have to do is probably cut a little strip out of here, then build up the worn out parts with wood fill or Bondo or something on the substrate so there's something for the veneer to lie on. and then put a fresh plug of veneer onto here. That's the damage that occurred. Here's a penny for comparison. Unfortunately, these two little tiny flecks of veneer, which are only a fraction of what was lost, were all that I was able to save of what came off of it when it fell. So I can't patch the exact original veneer back in. However, we have this piece right here that we can use to cheat in a replacement for the two damaged spots. I'd much preferred this not to have gotten damaged in the first place, but at this point there's no crying over spilled milk. What I'm going to do is scab in a couple of patch pieces to hide the damage. It won't be perfect, but it should be good enough that unless you happen to know to look for it, you won't know that it's there. Straight edge to cut along. This would qualify as a straight edge. Looks like it's relatively straight along here. I should have selected angle iron. This is a shitty straight edge. Sad and strange as it is, the best way to patch damage like this is to make the damage slightly bigger. I'm black and camera shot what I'm doing. I don't know how much of that process I filmed properly and how much of it I lost, but we have a nice piece of veneer. There's a nice patch on either side of where the substrate was gouged, so there will be something for this veneer to glue into and grab onto. What I'm going to do next is wet my finger in record cleaning wood glue and wet the substrate and wet the back surface of the patch veneer. Doesn't have to be soaking, but it's got to have some. And also scrape my finger in the spot where the substrate's missing, and I'll probably glom some more glue in there after the fact. And what I'm going to do real quick is try to clean up the glue residue to the extent that I can. Make sure this is pressed into the location it's going as good as it reasonably can be. I'm going to take a piece of plexiglass because why not? And also because the glue shouldn't stick to it. Try to convince my clamp that it wants to do this. And just kind of lightly clamp it and come back probably tomorrow. Normally I don't even use the clamp. Why am I doing this way? On small patches like that, what I normally do is I put weight on top of them. It doesn't need a hard clamp like a structural joint does. As Tom starts stacking unreasonable amounts of weight on top of it because he somehow has got a weird idea in his head. And I have veneer stuck under there. Good. Now it's not stuck under there. Yeah, I better just quit while I'm ahead. So tomorrow I will come back and scab in the other missing piece of veneer. Stick a little bit of glue into the any remaining pockets that are accessible from the back edge of the cabinet, and do a cleanup on this cabinet. Give it one more quick test run. Put it on its side and glue the other leg on the other side that came loose. Not necessarily in that order. Captain's log, next day. Not perfect, but less noticeable than the big missing gouge. Okay, let's start trying to do the next one. Let's see here. There we go. Let's just go really. Don't blow your replacement veneer off, Tom. That's not a constructive thing. Okay, just a little bit shorter than I was hoping for. Do I have one more strip of that veneer in my inventory of crap? Okay, we got options. That's blacker than my soul on the stained side. This isn't quite as good of a match, but it might work for the little corner. Okay, so let's use this cutboard. That fits okay. I think that'll work as a primary patch for that spot. Won't be perfect. Perfect ended the moment the cabinet had a leg crump that I was balancing it on. We're just gonna make this good enough to hide the sins that were committed against it. Oh. Now, we'll just pretend like we didn't see that. Okay, we'll glue it onto you. I'm supposed to go like that, so get that. Okay, so I think the camera cut out while I was putting the second patch on, but it's been sitting 2-3 hours now. Probably long enough for me to take the weight off of it and have a look. Okay, let's just shave this a little bit. Okay. That's not too bad. Put some more wood glue into the voids underneath where the substrate, backing, or whatever you'd call it, got munched to kind of give the veneer some extra structure underneath it. I'll hit this with some Howard's Restore finish to kind of try to blend it in with the rest of the cabinet a bit. Yeah, ain't gonna be perfect, but it'll be good enough. Good enough to not look as terrible as it did. Try some Howard's Golden Oak on the section where we did the patching to kind of just blend on it a little bit. It's not looking too shabby. So this is the repair up close. I mean, you can spot it if you're looking for it, but it doesn't jump out at you like the two gouged, ground out portions of edge did. So I'm going to say this is good enough. Okay, time to get it cleaned up. The splatter went like this, so I'm going to have to clean it like that. Guess I'm going to start with a sponge with some bleach water, and once the main disgust of the disgusting stuff that got sprayed on it is cleaned off, I'll come back in again with glass cleaner and other things and clean the water streaks and spots off of everything and get it all looking right again. I don't know how I'm going to adequately clean this grill cloth, or if that is even a possibility, but I want to try something, so I'll try that and see if that has any benefit. No clue exactly where the splashing stopped, so I'm just going to go after everything that I think might have got hit by it, which I think what I've done basically covers. Okay, that's about as good as that's gonna get. Let's come back with some glass cleaner now. That's doing any good. Probably isn't doing any harm either, so as long as there's no harm. So that spot is etched into the paint. So it was either there before, or more likely it etched its way into the paint. Definitely tried to etch its way into the wood finish too. That's not ideal. This wasn't splashed, so this delaminated on its own. I should get some glue in there. Before I do that, more restore finish. This time neutral because I don't care to change any colors or try to make it look different or hide any scratches. What I'm just here to do is make it look good and make it clean. I think we already have the clean part as covered as we reasonably can. Okay, so to deal with the delamination next to the channel knob underneath the top, we're going to take a syringe of wood glue and inject wood glue into the gap, then clamp it. First I gotta get my wood glue syringe unclogged. Okay, so let's inject some glue into this gap. Hopefully that's enough. I need some kind of wood block to clamp against. Let's see here. That's pretty appropriate. Oh. These have plastic on them. They shouldn't do any harm to anything. Okay. Let's get that glue out of there. Okay, that's good enough. Okay. This is going to be interesting to film. Okay, despite acoustics, it seems to be fine. There we go. So yeah, that glue joint failed. At least it failed nice and clean. You can't see nothing, can you? So yeah, this leg that crumpled earlier and tried to crumple earlier in the video, I tapped off of here. It seems like the dowels are still firmly anchored into this. They came loose here. And the face glue that should have glued it to that surface also failed, so I'm gonna get some sandpaper and clean that up a little bit. Got 300, so 300 will work. Goal here is to knock off the residue of the old failed glue to give nice clean wood for the new glue to adhere to. Could have swore I had one that was rounded in here. Ah, you. Since I can't get sandpaper into these holes readily, and I don't want to get out the drill, I'm just gonna clean out the holes a little bit with this needle file and come back. Good enough. It'll work. So this will be a repeat of what I did on the other side. Put some glue onto the dowels and the mating surfaces and slather it around everywhere I can, except for where it shouldn't be, which is anywhere that it'll be seen. Okay, there it is. That's a little bit too much glue. Yeah, what the heck. Oh yeah, that's way too much. Perfect. You ever wonder if anti-seize and wood glue are really the same product with different colors added to them? Both of them get everywhere. Okay, that gets that started. I need another clamp for safeties. Okay, there's the safety clamp. Now I gotta wipe the ooze off of it again. Okay, perfect. Once that glue dries, it'll be about as good as it was before it took its fall. I'm gonna call this done. You know, well, I've got this nice bleach water solution. I might as well clean up my tube caddies and spill it all over the floor. See if I got splashed with the nasty liquid too. And the green I got in some weeds. No, I'll take it all anyway over here. Oh yeah, I can see where it didn't get. Man. Murphy's Law strikes again. Filth got on everything it could get on. I'll throw this stuff out. Got it. I'm not sure how much of this stuff might have. Let's just spray for some of this too. I'll be cleaning this stuff up till I'm 80. I just plug the floor drain, flood the basement with clean water. That would be faster. I should just take this outside and garden hose it tomorrow. Okay, the leg glue has been drying overnight. This I took off after a couple of hours and it was fine. Let's get the leg declamped and call this done. That's right. Okay. This is going well. So, this concludes the battery on my Nikon camera and the Zenith Coburg Resurrection Part 3. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and thanks for watching.
At Zenith, the quality goes in before the name goes on.